Shalom. We'll get started here in just a few moments.
Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. But He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because He hath set His love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him, and show him my salvation.
Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto my power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim HaKodash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father. His true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh. In His Son's name, who the word in the call Jesus Christ, real name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Also give the praises, honor, and glory to the Yahweh HaKodash, the Holy Spirit, which is the force and entity that makes this edification possible. I want to say shalom to you, sincere hearted Akim Wakwat, that you brothers and sisters make your bodies a living sacrifice on a daily basis in this wicked and adulterous generation. Also want to give double honors to my beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth and who rule well. And I'm the brother Osman Wath here from Great Millstone Dallas Camp. All right, coming back this morning through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah to do another lesson. And in the Lord's will, this lesson will be found edifying unto the elect of the nation of Israel, as well as glorifying unto the names of my power, Yahweh Bashim Shah. And I want to get into the topic at hand this morning. As you can read the title, they always knew who we were. All right, they always knew who we were. And the they I'm speaking about, all right, are these heathen nations. Okay, they always knew, okay, who the true children of Israel are. All right, and this is why scriptures tells us here in the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, all right, for they have consulted together with one consent, all right, ultimately to try to cut the nation of Israel off, all right, from being a nation. As a matter of fact, we'll open up with this, but I want to go into this brief account, all right, in the book of Ezra, the 4th chapter this morning, and what basically stemmed, what spawned this lesson, through the Spirit, is current events, such as what's being held right now, the WEF, as we're going to continue to speak about it, all right, because the Lord has revealed, all right, Esau's counsels, man. And now, as the spirit of life is inside of us, and the Wadi Hal Bashmal for that, now we know, okay, what's going on. Because for a long time we were in darkness, man. We had no idea that we had enemies. We didn't know who we were. We didn't know who our power is. We didn't know who the enemy was. So, but now with the Lord, reviving us, waking us up. All right, now we know what's going on. You see, now we know that we're in a war. Okay, Revelation the 12th chapter says, for the dragon, okay, was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. All right, and that links you right back to the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter. All right, where the Lord, all right, told the serpent, which the serpent was a man. You know what? Let's get that first. Let's get that first here in the book of Genesis, because all right, we've woken up, all right, into an age-old war. All right, this is what we're involved in. This battle, this war that we're in. All right, this ain't nothing new. All right, okay. The so-called white man didn't just start hating you, okay, for no reason, out of thin air. No, there's a reason why, and even technically, all right, before the womb, before Genesis 25th chapter. All right, let's get this here in the book of Genesis 3 and 15. Let's see. And this is when, the Lord was pronouncing, all right, judgment, all right, and curses upon, all right, the sons of God, as we went off, starting with, our foremother Eve, she partook of that fruit, all right, that philosophy, that way of life that was presented unto her, all right, by the serpent, and Adam, was succumbed to it, all right, as he listened to his wife, all right, within the Lord, all right, through the mouth of his prophets, okay, because Scripture speaks about how the voice of the Lord was in the garden in the cool of day. Who's the voice of the Lord? The prophets. So the Lord always had a prophet, always had prophets on the scene, all right, to reveal unto us our iniquities, our transgressions, all right. But nonetheless, as the sons of God went off the path, all right, the Lord here is pronouncing the curse, all right, and pronouncing judgment upon, all right, Adam, Eve, and the serpent. I want to get here what he says unto the serpent. This is Genesis 3 and 14. It says, and the Lord power, Yahweh Shema, or Yahweh power, said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. And these nations they're likened unto beast. All right. And Esau, he is, the cursed people of the Lord. All right. That same spirit that was inside the serpent, all right, is the same spirit that's in Esau, Edom today, as we're about to get, all right, in the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter here in a second. It says, upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life, going to his baseness, his base estate. And that's what he's going to go back to. Verse 15, and I will put enmity. All right, let's get this word enmity real quick. We'll put enmity. All right, Strong's H342, Abba. All right, enmity, hatred, hostility. All right, hostile mind. It says Genesis 3 and 15, and I will put enmity or hatred, hostility between thee and the woman. All right, and who is the woman? All right, at cursory glance, you may think that it's just speaking about Eve, but really, all right, through a prophetical lens, which that's how the Bible has to be analyzed. All right, this is speaking about the nation of Israel. Jeremiah 6 and 2. For I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. All right, so this is the woman. All right, Zion, which is nicknamed for Israel. All right, Israel enlarged, the nation of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. All right, and Israelite foreigners. So it says Genesis 3 and 15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman. All right, and between thy seed. Okay. All right, going to show you that the serpent, okay, is going into a man. All right, so that particular man's seed, all right, his lineage says, and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. All right, now when you go here to the book of Revelation 12, and Yahweh Shai, ultimately, all right, it's coming back, all right, to take, all right, the cancer out of the earth, which is Esau. All right, he bruised Satan's head. All right, he bruised his head, all right, over 2,000 years ago as he conquered the grave. He conquered death. All right, and he bruised our heel by, this captivity. All right, and just this constant oppression. But that's not a deadly blow like a headshot. But when you get this here in Genesis, it's like in Revelation 12 and 17. Let's see where I want to start. That old serpent. Here we go. Revelation 12. If you understand this chapter, all right, which pretty much speaks for itself. When you read this, it speaks about a red dragon. All right, and it tells you what that red dragon will be doing. All right, which of course is not speaking about an actual red dragon. Okay, but you got these so-called Christians, man. They take everything literally. They really think it's going to be a red dragon, but this is speaking about the Roman Empire. All right, because it speaks about how, that woman, was in great travail with the woman, you know, uh, was in great travail, about to give birth to a son. All right, and that dragon was standing to, ultimately just waiting to, to kill that son. And that links you to the book of Matthew, the 2nd chapter. All right, as into, what Herod did. All right, waiting to slay the Messiah. All right, as his kingdom, was in peril, of threat, of the king of the Jews. All right, which is Yahushua. All right, so this speaks, to the Roman Empire. But when you get this here in Revelation 12 and 9, it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent. See? All right, and who once again, who was the dragon? Okay, the Roman Empire, which today is revived, okay, through America and NATO and the EU, which is ran and operated by who? The Edomites, who was ruling the ancient pagan Roman Empire. All right, the Edomites. Okay, we just mentioned about Herod, Matthew the 2nd chapter. Herod's father, okay, his name was Antipater the Idumean, which is just a Greek way of saying Edom. All right. So this same nation of people is in power. Okay, so going to show you, all right, let's read this, Revelation 12 and 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent. I'm going to show you that the Bible is linking, all right, the Edomites unto that old serpent, all right, that we just read about in Genesis 3 and 15, where it says, for I will put enmity between thy seed and her seed. Says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Now, when you go skip down here to verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. See, that mirrors literally what we just read in Genesis 3 and 15. All right, so I'm bringing this out to show that the war that we're in, this ain't nothing new. This is an age-old war. This started from the very beginning, but we're at the very end right now. We're at the end, all right, of the dragon's rule. We're at the end of Esau's world. All right, so he's about to really come down with great wrath. And, everything that we've been seeing in the news here as of late, all right, the reason why everything's been happening is because of this right here. Because of what happened in the garden, man. All right, but see, victory's already written. It was already written that, okay, we shall bruise his head. You see, and that's a deadly blow. Revelation 12 and 17 again, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, all right, Israel, and went to make war with the remnant, the elect, all right, of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh by Shema, and have the testimony of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. And once again, like I stated earlier, here you have the WEF, the annual WEF Council meeting that they have at the summit in Davos, Switzerland, every year, which, as Elder Yashawamba brings out often, Davos, the etymology of that means, the son of David. All right. And this goes to show that they are completely antichrist. Psalms 2. Okay. Why are all these heathen nations, okay, over there, all right, convening amongst themselves? What are they talking about? We already know what they're talking about. Psalms 2. Let's get that real quick. In the NLT. Why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? And it's a conglomerate of nations. All right, but who leads the pack? Esau, the Edomites, man. All right, you got Elam over there. You got Moab. Okay, you probably got the King Balak over there. All right, all these ancient rules, they're all back. They're just it's just modern times. They just back with Wi-Fi and AI, all right, and Chat GPT and all this and microchips, but they're back. You see, and ultimately, this new industrial revolution is all predicated upon rebellion against Yahweh Shema Shah, a digital Tower of Babel. You see, and in order to function in this society that they're creating, this dystopian reality that they're creating, all right, you got to get down with their program, all right, and they want to delete, all right, the woman and the remnant of her seed, as we just got Revelation 12 chapter. See, but that goes to show you what, that they know who we are. They have to. So it says, verse 2, the kings of the earth prepare for battle. The rulers plot together against the Lord and against his anointed one. See? So against Yahweh and against Yahweh Shai. And not just, Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai, but also the anointed ones. All right, the Kodashim. All right, the nation of Israel, starting with the elect. They're conspiring against us. Psalms 83, verse 3, Psalms 2 and 3. Let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. Because, all right, this speaks to the house of David, the throne of David right here. Because what happened during the time of King David's rule? All right, he's subjugated all these heathen nations. 2 Samuel, the 8th chapter. All right, kind of gives you a brief catalog of, some of the, powerhouses that King David brought down and subdued of the heathen nations. You see, and the Lord had all those heathen nations underneath King David's feet. All right, and this is what they're trying to wiggle out of. They're trying to wiggle out of those chains that they've been predestinated for. Psalms 2 and 3 again, it says, "Let us break their chains," they cry, "and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High." But the one who rules in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. And how is he doing that? Okay, through his men. All right, starting with our beloved apostles, man, and men on down, and their teachers. All right, and us brothers, man, hey, we laughing at Esau. Like, we bring out, particular thing like, oh shit, look what this dope. Like, hey man, we laughing. Because it's like when you really listen to what they're talking about and see what they're doing, it's really foolish as hell, bro. Like, you really think that this pseudo power of yours, this your AI, your artificial intelligence, you really think that has any type of leverage over the Most High, his son, and the angels, man? You see? Verse 5, then in anger he rebukes them, terrifying them with his fierce fury. All right, ultimately, when he sends his son Yahweh Shai and the holy host of angels back, all right, to completely annihilate, all right, these devils. And the power structure says, for the Lord declares, Yahweh declares, I have placed my chosen king on the throne in Jerusalem on my holy mountain. And who is that? Yahweh Shai. Verse 7, the king proclaims the Lord's decree. The Lord said unto me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Only ask, and I will, and this is the NLT, by the way, remember. All right, verse 8, only ask, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance, the whole earth as your possession. You will break them with the iron rod and smash them like clay pots. See that? And this is what, once again, these heathen nations, starting with Esau, Edom, he's the one that's leading the pack. This is what they're trying to free themselves from. All right, but it's going to be of no avail. All right, so once again, in order for them to, all right, come up, with these futile plans, conspire amongst themselves. All right, and Jake is not over there. What does that go to show you? That the topic of discussion, all right, is the Israelites. They have the records. So that leads me here to the book of Ezra chapter 4. Ezra chapter 4. I'm gonna grab some of these scriptures the brothers putting up, and shalom to you, Akim Wakwaf, that's tuning in. Yahweh Bashma Shabrakatan. And shalom, brother Nabala, shalom, brother Tazadat, Saints of Jersey, shalom. I'm gonna get this real quick. The brother put up that Psalms 83. I was gonna open up with that. Psalms 83 and 1. See, he got an NLT. It says, a psalm of Asaph. Verse 1, it says, O power, Yahweh Bashma Shai, do not be silent, do not be deaf, do not be quiet, O power, Yahweh Bashma Shai. All right. And it may seem like, all right, the Lord, has been silent and deaf, but he wasn't. All right. And he is not. Okay. And the proof of that is what? We've quickened. We've been quickened. We're made alive. All right. Those dry bones, all right, has the breath of life inside of them. All right. Now we're standing up on our feet. All right. This is the time. Let's get this. Psalms 102. Psalms 102. There's a set due time. All right. For everything to, all right, to happen, for the great awakening. All right. For the wicked to be revealed. All right. Which that's all synonymous with, All right. The Lord favoring us once again. This is Psalms 102. Let's see. This is let's see. I know it's in Psalms 102. No, I'm not tripping. Okay, here we go. The Wadiyah Bashmal Shah. This is Psalms 102 and verse 12. It says, "But thou, O Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah, shalt endure forever, and thy remembrance unto all generations. Thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion. For the time to favor her, yea, the set time is come." All right, this is the set time. All right, to where the Lord favors Zion once again. All right, and that's solidified by the Lord raising up the house of David. All right, raising up those ruins that was destroyed, but he's raising it up. All right, and it's all starting in the spirit first and foremost. Daniel 2:44, it says, "In the days of these kings, the Most High shall set up a kingdom which shall not be destroyed." All right, that's what's happening behind enemy lines, and Esau knows that. All right, Esau, and not just Esau, but all these heathen nations, they know that. Psalms 83 and verse 2 again in the NLT. "Don't you hear the uproar of your enemies? Don't you see that your arrogant enemies are rising up? They devise crafty schemes against your people." All right. You know, look at all the systematic oppression. All right. And physical oppression that Esau and all these other nations have put us through, and still planning on putting us through more. They're literally trying to change your molecular structure, put goddamn chips inside of you, man. All right. If that's not a crafty scheme, I don't know what is. You see? And Lord's willing, I'll come back sometime this weekend, do a lesson on Noah Yuval Harari, man. That proud devil. See? He's over here talking about how AI is going to pretty much be the final authority on any religious text. And when you hear him speak, his main beef is with the Bible, man, because he wants to be a Mo. He says it's just only because of words in the book that Moism is condemned. He just wants to be a Mo. You see? But these individuals, these bureaucrats, that nobody knew about, nobody voted for, they're literally making decisions for your life. And you have no power over them. They have power over you. So we need salvation. We need deliverance, man. All right. Verse 3 in the NLT, "They devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. We're the apple of the Lord's eye. Come," they say, "let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence." Whoo, man. That's a sobering reality of, the situation that we're in. All right. This is why Jake ain't at, the WEF. He's not at the Hootie Hoo Council. He's not at any of these other councils. Jake is not up there like that, man. Because it's all predicated. It's a system predicated that's against you. All right. They want to literally wipe out the very memory of our existence. All right. And the Lord has promised that that's never going to happen. Jeremiah the 31st chapter. He says, if you can change the ordinance of the sun, the moon, the stars, then will Israel cease from being a nation. All right. And these devils want to try to do that. They're attempting to do that, shooting rockets at the moon. But come on, man. But see, that's why we laugh, because that's all futile. It's just stupid. They want to block out the sun. They are trying. You got to give them an F for effort, man. Verse 5. "Yes, this was their unanimous decision." Let's look at that word, unanimous.
Unanimous.
"Of two or more people fully in agreement." Also, what is that called? A conspiracy. See? A conspiracy. So they're all conspiring. So this ain't no conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. All right. They are all fully in agreement with one thing. They may not agree on a lot of things. Okay. NATO and the United States, they may not agree on everything, but guess what? Guess what they do agree on? Cutting us off. Moab and Elam, all right, and Esau and all these other nations, they all got points of division, all right. But one thing that they are united on is what? Destroying us, the nation of Israel. Verse 5 again. Yes, this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you. Woo! All right, you got all right, the United Nations. See, you got all these particular different coalitions. All right, that once again Jake is not a part of. Says these Edomites and Ishmaelites, Moabites and Hagrites. See, and the first ones that it lists off are the Edomites, man, the so-called white race. So-called, but they're not white, they're red, which links you to Genesis, the 25th chapter, which that is our arch enemy, man. All right, but that's not new. That's why we started off the lesson going to Genesis 3 and linking it to Revelation 12. All right, the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman is going to constantly be at clash with one another. So this is an age-old battle. All right, and now we're at the very end to where it's about to be a brawl for it all. But the star out of Jacob is going to come, all right, and give us overwhelming victory. So let's go here to the book of Ezra, chapter 4, and verse 1 in the NLT, as you can read the title, Enemies Oppose the Rebuilding. All right, this is a very, very edifying chapter, to let you know, what was going on. All right, as King Cyrus, got the command ultimately by Yahweh to let us, rebuild. All right, go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. All right, but in the midst of that, as we were rebuilding the temple, all right, as the title reads, enemies oppose the building. All right, so this is what's happening all in the spirit right now. The house of David is being rebuilt. All right, in the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, it says, in the midst of the borders of Egypt, let's get that, what's going to be happening? Because it's happening right now in the spiritual Egypt. Isaiah 19 and verse 19, in that day there shall be an altar to the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah, and it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts, all right, in the land of Egypt, all right, and as is a sign and a witness unto Yahweh Bashmal Shah, is also a sign to our enemies, all right, that they're about to go back down, man, forever. See, this is why it says in Revelation 11th chapter, great fear fell upon them. This is a sign to Esau, okay, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American men, all right, on the highways and byways, man, week in and week out. All right, opening up the Bible, bringing the sense thereof. All right, prophesying, revealing who he is. Okay, removing that covering cast for the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. That's one of the most important things that have to have happened before Yahweh Shah comes back. 2 Thessalonians 2, it says, for that day shall not come except that son of what does it say? The wicked be revealed. All right, and there be a great falling away that has to happen. I know I'm kind of butchering it. Let me get it real quick. Salakia. Still a little early. Just bear with me. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. It says that you be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Yahweh Shah is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day, talking about the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah the second time, shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And when you read on down, he's revealed by the spirit of the Lord's mouth, which is the prophets, man. See, so as we're reading here in Isaiah the 19th chapter, all right, with there being an altar, with the altar is symbolizing, these camps, all right, because this is where we offer up our bodies as a living sacrifice, all right, as we go out to the highways and byways, all right, and we proclaim the names, we confess our Savior openly, all right, we're making our bodies a sacrifice, starting with our apostles, all right. This is not only a sign unto Yahweh Bashmal Shah, but it's also a sign and a witness unto our enemies. You see? And once again, the wicked is being revealed. Esau is being revealed for who he is. So it says, and it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. It says for, and that Egypt is speaking about is America, all right, which Egypt is a Greek word, all right, which means what? All right, double straits, which is symbolic for captivity. All right, when you read Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it says you're going to go into Egypt again by ships. We didn't go up to Egypt the first time by ships. See? So we're you know, what landmass was it known, you know, for us to be, you know, transported by ships right here to in the Americas, man. This is spiritual Egypt. America has the spirit of Egypt on it. It had a time period in its history where the founding fathers, they were infatuated with ancient Egypt. And they called that time period of America Egyptomania. You know, you look at the Capitol, you got the Washington Monument, the obelisk, you know, it all points you back to Egypt. All right, the culture, the customs, all right, of, you know, what happens here in America is all predicated, you know, from these, you know, ancient kingdoms, which Egypt, you know, has, you know, heavy influence here. All right, so this is spiritual Egypt. It says, for they shall cry unto the Lord Yahweh B'Shemal Shah because of the oppressors. And that's what we're doing, because we're being oppressed daily. And he shall send them a savior, Yahweh Shah, and a great one, and he shall deliver them. Let's go here to Ezra 4. Ezra chapter 4. And I'm just going to read it in the NLT. But there's a particular point I want to show, man, that, you know, they always knew who we were. So, you know, when, you know, starting with the apostles and bishops and elders and brothers, all right, when we tell the Jake, like, you listen, man, hey, they know who we are. They know who we are. Jake really think that we be bluffing. Like, no, man, they ain't checking for it. Like, no, they really know who we are. These heathen nations, they've always had the records. The only ones who don't know that who they are is you. All right, it's Jake, man. These other nations, they know very well indeed who we are. We just got it in Psalms the 83rd chapter. So this is Ezra 4:1 in the NLT. It says the enemies of Judah and Benjamin heard that the exiles were rebuilding a temple to the Lord, the power of Israel. And that's what we're doing in the spirit. We're exiles. We're prisoners of war. But yet we're building a temple to the Lord, like we just got in Isaiah, the 19th chapter. All right, this is the house of David being set back up. Verse 2. So they approached Zerubbabel and the other leaders and said, let us build with you, for we worship your God or your power just as you do. We have sacrificed to him ever since King Esarhaddon of Assyria brought us here. And you can read that account in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. All right, which links you to that woman, you know, at the well in John the 4th chapter. That's Samaritan woman. All right, which the only reason why they did is because the Lord did that to pretty much, you know, put a reproach upon the northern kingdom. You see, when you read that account in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, the Lord had lions, you know, to, you know, attack, you know, these Samaritans. All right, because they didn't know what to do, because they're not the people of the Lord. So they had to have, you know, a priest, an Israelite priest, to, you know, to show them. So they really think that, you know, they are really worshiping, okay, Yahweh B'Shemal Shah like we do, but they don't. They're not in covenant with the Lord. Verse 3, but Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the other leaders of Israel replied, you may have no part in this work. See, this doesn't concern you. All right, the vocab, you know, vocab trying to, you know, hey, what y'all doing? This don't concern you, bro. You may have no part in this work. It says, we alone will build the temple for the Lord Yahweh, the power of Israel, just as King Cyrus of Persia commanded us. And when you read Isaiah, the 45th chapter, the Lord called Cyrus by name before he was even born. Okay, and the reason why is because the Lord was going to set King Cyrus up, all right, to show favor and mercy, all right, upon, you know, the Israelite exiles in the province of Persia as we were in captivity. See, under the second beast. This during what we're reading right here. All right, when you look at the timeline according to Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, you know, Judah, we were underneath, you know, the second beast. All right, the Medes and the Persian. All right, this is right after the Babylonian captivity. Verse 4, then the local residents tried to discourage and frighten the people of Judah to keep them from their work. They bribed agents to work against them and to frustrate their plans. Exactly what Esau is doing right now. See, buying these agents, Sam Shimon, even wicked Israel, wicked Israelites, Demon Hakai, Hassad. You see, ultimately to try to frustrate the house of David, man, from building. But it's going to be of no avail. It says this went on during the entire reign of King Cyrus of Persia and lasted until King Darius of Persia took the throne. Verse 6. It says, years later, when Xerxes began his reign, the enemies of Judah wrote a letter of accusation against the people of Judah and Jerusalem. See, and there's a letter of accusation against us. What do you think they're doing in the WEF? Right now, as we speak, I believe Trump appears today at the WEF. He's going to be a key speaker today. And not just him, but a whole bunch of U.S. delegates. This is the spirit that they're coming in. They're trying to inhibit and stop, all right, the building of the spiritual third temple. And Elder Apostle Gabar and Elder Yasharamba, I'm sure y'all seen that. They just did a lesson. I think it was this past Sunday or Monday. I believe it was Monday. They just did a very beautiful sit down, man, going into this spiritual third temple that's being rebuilt. All right. It's a spiritual temple. It's not a physical one. All right. With, those small hatters, those tiny caps are trying to, build, which that's all erected and dedicated to Satan. All right. But anyway, this is Ezra 4:7. And the NLT says, even later, during the reign of King Artaxerxes of Persia, the enemies of Judah, led by Bishlam, Mithredath, and Tabeel, sent a letter to Artaxerxes in the Aramaic language, and it was translated for the king. Rahum, the governor, and Shimshai, the court secretary, wrote the letter telling King Artaxerxes about the situation in Jerusalem. All right, so you got these heathens going to snitch on us, going to pretty much cast his accusation against us. They greeted the king for all their colleagues, the judges and local leaders, the people of Tarpel, the Persians, the Babylonians, and the people of Erech and Susa, that is Elam. All right, so it was a conglomerate of different nations. They also sent greetings from the rest of the people whom the great and noble Ashurnanippal had deported and relocated. All right, Ashurnanippal, he was, the Assyrian king. All right, he was, not just him, but the Syrians in general, they were known for deportations. This is why we also bring out Isaiah the 10th chapters. It speaks about Assyria. All right, we link that to Esau. All right, because Esau, all right, he had a lot of things that he does. All right, he learned from the Assyrians, studying the Assyrians, the Roman Empire. They studied the Assyrians, very heavily. Their iron weaponry, their military formations. All right, deportation tactics. This is what's happening right now. Esau deporting niggas. Well, he learned that from the Assyrians. It says, and noble Ashurnanippal had deported and relocated in Samaria and throughout the neighboring lands of the province west of the Euphrates River. This is what the letter says. It says, this is a copy of their letter to King Xerxes from your loyal, to King Xerxes from your loyal subjects in the province west of the Euphrates River. The king should know that the Jews who came here to Jerusalem from Babylon are rebuilding this rebellious and evil city. See, this is how they view us. This is what they say about us, man. They say that we're an evil city. You see, why did they say that? Because the heathens, they know what the house of David, all right, is predicated upon, gathering all 12 tribes of the nation of Israel together, all right, and subduing their asses, man. So yeah, of course they're going to say that Jerusalem is an evil city. It says they have already laid the foundation and will soon finish its walls. And in spirit, That's what we've been doing. The foundation is laid. Yahweh Shai is that chief, that head cornerstone. All right. Our foundation is built upon the prophets and the apostles. And the walls, hey, we're almost done. All right. It's almost finished. But Esau wants to try to tear it down. He really thinks he's about to. Oh, yeah, I got him now. All right. I got him now with his AI and all this BS, man. Verse 13. And the king should know that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, it will be much to your disadvantage. For the Jews will then refuse to pay their tribute, customs, and tolls to you, aka we're no longer going to be slaves. We're going to break that yoke. That yoke is going to be broken because you only pay tribute and customs and tolls to people that's conquered you. You know, that's the reason why you pay taxes, and you got to pay fees for everything. We're subject to payments because we're yet this day in our captivity. See, but when we get back sovereign, all right, we're not going to have to, worry about being subject to payments. We're going to be receiving payments. All right. That's like scripture say, Isaiah the 60th chapter. We're going to suck the breast, all right, of these Gentiles, meaning we're going to milk their asses dry. All right. Yeah, that's mine. Yeah, I want that. That gold over there. Yeah, that's mine. All right. Anyway, verse 14, since we are your loyal subjects, and do not want to see the king dishonored in this way, we have sent the king this information. Verse 15, check this out. We suggest that a search be made in your ancestors' records, where you will discover what a rebellious city this has been in the past. In fact, it was destroyed because of its long and troublesome history of revolt against the kings and countries who controlled it. I'm going to read that one more time. Ezra 4:15 NLT. We suggest that a search be made in your ancestors' records. What does that show you? That they've always known who we are, and they have the records today. You think the records, they just disappeared? No, they have the records, man. Ain't no telling what's underneath the Vatican vault. Vatican library is underground, just stretches for miles. Records that the Rothschilds got of us. You see? This is Psalm 64. All right. Because it said a search. All right. They need to make a search of who we are. Psalm 64:6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. See? So, bro, they are diligent. They know. Hey, Esau knows more about you than you know about you. Because he's the devil. It says, and that's just also just the nature and the art of war. All right. When you go to war against your enemy, you gotta learn about your enemy. You gotta know your enemy, man. This is why we speak about Esau so much. Who you think he speaks about behind closed doors? He speaks about us. They accomplish a diligent search about who we are, who our forefathers are. All right. This is why, all right, as we're about to continue to read, all right, King David is brought up. You see? It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Let's get this real quick. Keeps coming to mind. Was that Psalms? Bro. That's it. Yeah, the Brother Saints of Jersey said, you telling me 1948 and they got the land and not have any records of Israel? They know. That's right, bro. That's right. There's no way in hell these devils are in the position that they're at. Okay, have maintained this position for all these years and kept this cloud of secrecy, that covering cast, without knowing. First and foremost, why is there a covering cast? Because they hiding something, man. They hiding who they are, and they're hiding who you are. See? But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Shai, everything has been searched out. All right. The Lord says, what do Yahweh Shai say in here in Luke 12? Luke 12:2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. See? And it's gotten underneath these devil's skins so much to the point to where now even Netanyahu is starting to address certain so-called, I'm doing air quotes, but conspiracy theories about the black Jews and all that. These devils, man, they are, bro, the Lord has searched their asses out, man. See, but that goes to show you, man, the Lord has been listening to us the whole time. He ain't turned his eyes away from us, man. He was just raw for a little bit, but now he's favoring us once again. This is the set time. You see? But these nations have always known who we are, man. Psalm 62:8. Or is it Psalm 62:4? They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. All right. They know our excellent nature. They know our nobility. All right. This is why they come up with, you know, this pseudoscience saying that Jake is monkeys, because they don't want you to know who you really are. They know that, man, we're the kings and priests of the earth. We're the ruling class. We're the aristocrats of the earth. We're the gods of the earth. But they tell you that you're monkeys. That's one way how they tried to cast Jake down from his excellence. And Jake believed this shit. You know? It says they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They break up your families, your households, you know, remove the fathers, you know. They delight in lies. They love to tell lies. And Lord's willing, like I said, you know, I do a video on what Noah Yuval Harari was, you know, talking about yesterday at the WEF. But he was basically saying how, you know, AI is very skilled at lying too. Like, damn, like, why would you know what I mean? This goes to show that they're the devil that the Bible speaks of, which that word devil means deceiver. And everything that he makes, all right, everything that comes forth from this devil, all right, is all based, you know, from deceit and lies, and, you know, and ultimately is going to be used. AI is going to be used as a sword as well. You know, I'm looking forward to doing that lesson. I don't want to spoil it. That's why I'm kind of reluctant to speak about it, but they delight in lies. Everything here in this world, man, is a lie. They told you that, you know, growing up, you're a Hamite. You know, Christianity doesn't give you any answers as to why we went to slavery, man. And you ask, okay, well, why do we go in slavery? Because you're a Hamite. You got the curse of Cain on you. See, that's a part of them casting you down, all right, from your excellency. They don't want to tell you that, hey, really, you're the people of the Lord. You're the chosen people. You're the apple of the Most High's eye. He's your God. You're his son. The reason why you went to slavery is because you transgressed against them. You broke the covenant. They're not going to tell Jake that, man. See? Out of all these 42,000 different so-called Christian denominations, now one of them is telling Jake who they are. You see? It says they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly, say lie. Let's go back to Ezra 4. Ezra chapter 4 and verse where did we leave off? Here we go. Ezra 4:15 in the NLT. I got to start hurrying up. Salakia says in the NLT, we suggest that a search be made in your ancestors' records, where you would discover what a rebellious city this has been in the past. And why they say it's rebellious, because King David, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmal Shai, all right, let's get this in 2 Samuel, the 8th chapter, was mowing these heathens down. 2 Samuel 8, and it says David's triumphs, and it's just some of his military victories, man. It says, verse 8, Salakia 8:1, after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Meth-Gamah out of the hand of the Philistines, and he smote Moab and measured them with the line, casting them to the ground. I love this account. It says, even with 2 measured lines, he put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, the king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. See, and as we continue to read in the book of Ezra, all right, they, you know, those heathens that was coming to King Artaxerxes, they're like, listen, if you don't do something about these people, man, you know, everything from the river and west, you know, is going to be taken, because that was a part of, you know, his domain at the time. But like, man, if you don't do something, they're gonna take back over. See, because King David got possession of all that, man. So it says, verse 4, and David took from him 1,000 chariots and 700 horsemen and 20,000 footmen. And David houghed all the chariot horses, and that was a custom back then, you know. And you know, when you go into that word houghed, it ultimately goes into, you know, how he cut the Achilles or the hamstring of those horses, symbolizing that he stripped them from their power, you know. And that's what the Lord going to do to Esau's chariots, man. All right, he's going to hoof his chariot horses. He's going to bring them fucking fighter jets to you know, and put them up in flames, man. And David hoofed all the chariot horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians in Damascus came to succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew of these Syrians 22,000 men. Then David put garrisons in Syria. I want to get this in NLT. In the NLT, it says, then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus, the Armenian capital, and the Armenians became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. See that? So we're receiving tribute money. All right. Let me get this real quick. Verse 11. I'm going to skip down here. King David dedicated all these gifts to the Lord, as he did with the silver and gold from the other nations he had defeated, from Edom. See that? Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek. See that? Hey, that's why, okay, at the west, all right, in Davos, Switzerland, which means son of David, this is all predicated upon coming against the house of David, man. Because Amalek knows, man. And they got the records. It says, and from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. So David became even more famous when he returned from destroying 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He placed army garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. This is why Psalms 2 says what it said. As we open up with Psalms, the 2nd chapter, let us free ourselves from the slavery of the Most High. All right. And the first one, the main ones that's ahead of the pack that's leading this is Edom. They don't want to go back to this. But this is your fate, boy. All right, this is your fate. You were predestinated to be our slaves and then be destroyed, man. In fact, the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shah made David victorious wherever he went. Let's go back to Ezra 4:15 NLT. This is what the heathens are saying. We suggest that a search be made in your ancestors' records where you will discover what a rebellious city this has been in the past. In fact, it was destroyed because of its long and troublesome history of revolt against the kings and countries who controlled it. We declare to the king that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are completed, the province west of the Euphrates River will be lost to you. Verse 17. Then King Artaxerxes sent this reply to Rahum, the governor, Shimshai, the court secretary, and the colleagues living in Samaria and throughout the province west of the Euphrates River, greetings. So this is the king's reply. The letter you sent has been translated and read to me. I ordered a search of the records and have found that Jerusalem has indeed been a hotbed of insurrection against many kings. That's how they view us, man. They view Jake as a hotbed of insurrection. See? And the reason why is because what we just read, some of the that brief catalog of David's victories. That was a hotbed of insurrection, man. The Lord had King David, man, just whooping ass, man. That traumatized those heathens, man. They're like, no, man, we ain't going back to that. So that's how they feel right now. This is why these nations are doing what they're doing right now, man. All right. Says, in fact, rebellion and revolt are normal there. Powerful kings. This is what the king is saying about, the house of David. He says, verse 20, powerful kings have ruled over Jerusalem. All right. You had King David, first and foremost. All right. You got Hezekiah. All right. He was a powerful king. King Josiah. All these mighty men. All right. All these powerful kings that the Lord rose up for us, man. It says powerful kings have ruled over Jerusalem. All right. And the most powerful king, which is Yahweh Shai, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. They really don't want him to come back, man. This is why Herod did what he did. Matthew, the 2nd chapter. All right, Revelation 12th chapter. All right, that red dragon. All right, went to try to slay that man child. So it says powerful. So once again, you mean to tell me that they don't know about any of this today? Of course they do, man. So it's all about you, Jake. Starting with Yahweh Shai. It's all predicated. This system is predicated upon being antagonistic against Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai, all right, the holy host of angels, because they blaspheme the angels too, all right, and the Israelites. So it's all about us. Verse 20, powerful kings have ruled over Jerusalem and the entire province west of the Euphrates River, receiving tribute, customs, and tolls. Therefore, issue orders to have these men stop their work. Esau's about to try to, he's about to try to do that. It's going to be a famine of the word. But see, at that point, man, all right, the damage is already done. The elect is already sealed at that point, man. The work has been completed. All right. That city must not be rebuilt except at my express command. Be diligent and don't neglect this matter, for we must not permit the situation to harm the king's interest. All right. So when this letter from King Artaxerxes was read, and let me read that again, verse 22, be diligent and don't neglect this matter, for we must not permit the situation to harm the king's interest. And ultimately, what's the king's interest in these times? Setting up that NWO. All right. And this is the biggest threat to the NWO, the testimony that we possess, man. All right. That's why we got it early in Revelation 12 and 17. The dragon, let's end it out with that, because I got to get ready for the plantation. Revelation 12 and 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony. See that? Of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, because this testimony, all right, is the biggest threat, all right, to Esau and his endeavors, his futile endeavors, man, this NWO. All right, this is why he don't take these other niggas serious, these other Israelite camps. He don't take, Anton Daniels. He don't take these so-called truthers. They don't take nobody else serious like the prophets, man. It's our videos that's being clipped. It's our videos that AI is trying to reword, and you know what I mean? Because this testimony is harming this devil, man. See, but it's going to culminate, all right, into the kingdom of heaven. Daniel 2. Let's get that. Daniel 2:44. We're in and out with that. And in the days of these kings, the Most High of heaven shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. That's the kingdom of David, the throne of David, with our Lord Yahweh Shah. All right, sitting upon that throne, then King David, and then every man his own order. It says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right, so they know this, man. The elites, they know this. They know that their time is short. All right, so yeah, we're gonna have to leave it right there. There's a little bit more I want to get, but I gotta go ahead and get ready for this plantation. And shalom to you, beloved Akim and Akwaf that tuned in. I see my brother Aina tuned in as well. Shalom, Ak. Shalom. All right, and the water for all the precepts as always, but until next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Hakudash. I want to give double honor to my beloved apostle, Elder Great Millstone, Mawaf Babal, Shalom.